According to Jesus in Matthew 5:21, Jesus says, "Ye have heard that it was said by them of old." So he's referring to the law of Moses, right? He says, "You have heard that it was said by them of old time, thou shalt not kill." That's what Jesus says. And whosoever shall kill will be in danger of the judgment. In Exodus 20:13, the Bible says, "Thou shalt not kill." Right? That's what it says. But how is it not premeditated murder? If God tells you, if he's giving you instruction in advance to go kill these people, you don't think that's premeditated murder? God is telling these people what to do to these people, how to kill them. Go take this, go take that. How many people they should kill. This, that, and the third. All that's premeditated murder, bro. But I would even go further and ask, show me what right did God have to take these people's lives just because they're sinners? When the Bible says all sin is not worthy of death. So just because we was born in sin, that's not a sin that's worthy of death. That's not a sin unto death. And in the New Testament, it also talks about the sin that does not lead to death in 1 John chapter 5. So just because we're born in sin, that doesn't require our death. That does not require immediate death. That's not a sin unto death. And just because somebody is an enemy of God, that's not a sin unto death also. Where is that in the law that all of God's enemies should be put to death? If that's the case, then God should never have any enemies. If you should be put to death just because you're an enemy of God, then why does God even still have enemies? How can God ever have enemies? But Jesus said you shall love your neighbor. The law says you shall love your neighbor as yourself. So how can you love your neighbor while killing them? How can you love your neighbor as yourself and go kill somebody just because God told you to go do it? Would you kill yourself because God told you to do it? Or we can go to Moses. We can go to Moses killing the Egyptian. You don't think when Moses killed the Egyptian that was premeditated murder? Like Moses buried this man's body, he beat this man to death, then he went and hid his body? You don't think that's premeditated murder? So murder and killing can go hand in hand. And according to the book of Revelations, all murderers will have their part in the lake of fire. So what does that say about a Moses who killed a man? Beat him to death. He overkilled a man. Beat him to death and went and hid his body. So what are we talking about? This is supposed to be the most meekest man that ever lived, who was a murderer, who committed premeditated murder, as well as David. You know what I'm saying? Countless number of murders under his belt. So just because we're born sinners, if we're born sinners, that doesn't give a right. That does not give God a right. That's not a sin that's worthy of death. That's not a sin unto death if we are God's enemies. That does not give you the right to go take somebody's life. Because like I said, if it did, then God would never have any enemies to deal with. How can God say that? God says that vengeance is mine and I will repay, while at the same time telling you to go do his dirty work. If vengeance is only up to the Lord, if vengeance is to be only in the hands of God, how can vengeance be in his hand while at the same time telling you to get blood on your hands?